Hi, I'm Nick Guida. I'm the founder and CEO of Tamarack Aerospace Group. I'm here to talk about VMCG and VMCA. VMCA is the minimum control speed while the airplane is flying with one engine at full thrust rating and one engine shut off. So it's the airspeed at which you can still control the airplane with a very imbalanced thrust setting on each engine. VMCG is the same thing, but before you take off. So it's while you're running down the runway and both engines are at full thrust, and then one engine gets shut all the way off. You have to maintain a specific distance from the runway center line. So we're going to talk about a little bit of these type of things. So right now, the VMCG for the Citation jet is 95 knots. So if you're rolling down the runway, taking off with thrust power set, and you lose an engine, you have to be able to maintain directional control while you're decelerating the airplane and shutting down the other engine. The way you ballast for this is very aft CG, and the nose wheel barely touches the ground. Then you disconnect the nose wheel steering so you're not allowed to control it. The whole idea is to be able to use the control with just the rudder while you're on the ground. You run down the runway with two engines, and you start at maybe 100 knots, and then one of the pilots shuts an engine off, and then you have to maintain 15 feet within the center line of the runway with just the rudder, with the other engine at full thrust. And once you've maintained that and you can control that, then you shut the engine down to go the other direction. You keep doing this so it's repeatable. And once you're happy that you're safe at 100, then you go to 95 and then lower and lower. And so that you can define the minimum control airspeed that you can still have rudder control with no nose wheel steering and an aft CG configuration. VMCA, you do the same thing, but you do it in the air. So the winglets actually add directional stability to the airplane. We've seen this, and we'll talk about lateral directional stability next time, but we've seen this throughout the whole flight test program. It makes the plane much more stable. Our customers love it. They're always talking about the stability, the way it feels. Some of our customers are actually reporting that they can take off at slower speeds. So anytime you can reduce the speed, you're reducing the energy associated with that speed, and it makes the aircraft more safe, or that particular flight condition safe. Lateral directional stability is defined as how much the nose wants to stay in a particular place when you disturb one of the control surfaces. And you've seen this before as pilots, and you step on the rudder, the nose may wobble a little bit and then eventually damp out. That's a form of lateral directional stability. But stability in the air, there's a dynamic stability and static stability. The VMCG and VMCA are a static stability type of measurement where the airplane, you're not asking it to damp, you're just asking to be able to fly it or control it on the ground with one engine at full thrust power setting and one engine off. Lateral directional stability is more of a dynamic type of behavior that an airplane sees when it's disturbed from level flight. With respect to ground and air speeds, just picture when something is happening at a lower speed. Remember, energy is a function of the velocity squared. So anytime you can reduce the velocity, then your energy is so much less. So then that's where crashworthiness comes into play and things like that. When it comes to active winglets and the safety aspects they bring in, they provide a lot of level of safety in so many aspects, from takeoff roll. We talked about VMCG, how if you were to lose an engine at a slower speed, you would still have the ability to control the aircraft. And if you were to take off and lose an engine at that speed, you'd have a better ability to control. And then single engine climb rates greatly increased. Your directional stability is directly increased. It just, in so many aspects, makes just a better, safer airplane when you put these active winglets on your CJ. So thank you for joining us to talk about VMCG and VMCA, which is an important aspect of safety and learning about something that most people don't talk about or even really know. And joining us next month for directional stability. We're going to talk about lateral directional stability and how it applies to safety, and how the winglets really help the aircraft in that way too. So thank you, and remember, Tamarack takes you further.